How's it, everybody? Welcome to another enlightening episode of Exponential Africa. I'm Mann, your host, where we bring you the most advanced innovations and thought leadership from around the globe to Africa. Today, we're diving into the future of mobility, enriched and transformed by the integration of AI. From autonomous flying cars, navigating the skies, to innovative AI-driven solutions, revolutionizing the way we travel on land, on sea, and how we can explore these technologies to pave the way for smarter, more efficient transportation systems. And we are very fortunate to be joined by the one and only Carlo Van De Weijer, who has a master's degree in mechanical engineering from TU in Eindhoven, a PhD degree with honors from TU in Graz. He carries a broad experience in the automotive and industry with an AO executive positions at Siemens and TomTom, currently the managing director of the newly founded Eindhoven AI Systems Institute at Eindhoven University. And he's also involved with Deloitte at the Center of the Edge, a Singularity faculty member, and a dear friend. Carlo, welcome to Exponential Africa.
Hey, hello, Mick. How are you doing?
Awesome. So where are you coming in from today?
I'm speaking from the institute I'm managing at this moment. So it's very early in the morning here, and it's a little bit. All these students haven't started up yet. So, but this is the Technical University of Eindhoven, in the south of the Netherlands, where I lead an AI institute called the Eindhoven AI Systems Institute, or in short, EASY.
Wow, it sounds pretty incredible. I mean, what goes on there? What's sort of your mission there?
Yeah, mission is actually. So in the south of the Netherlands, we're also the machine builders. So we have the big company ASML. You might know it's actually all Philips heritage, but ASML is now one of the most strategic companies in the world. They make the machines that produce the chips for TSMC and all the other ones. So this region is a real machine building region, and we are trying to actually combine that with AI and all the potential of AI. That's what we're doing. But we also have NXP, the semiconductors of the automotive. So we do a lot for mobility and self-driving cars. And we do a lot of mechanical because Philips is still here. And that's actually so the things why we use AI actually to make the real world even better.
And I mean, how big is it? Is it a big institute? Do you have, lots of researchers and scientists and...
Yeah, although the researchers in the faculty, so we are actually, it's kind of a matrix organization. We are doing cross-faculty cooperation on all kind of it. And what we do is then AI. So this institute makes sure that all these departments work together on all these kind of solutions. And it's a total of about 900 researchers that are active within the AI at this moment. So we have kind of a big community here to take care for.
Wow, that's unbelievable. 900 people all focused on driving AI forward.
Yeah.
And I mean, with your deep expertise in mobility and all of these current advancements you're seeing at the university, how do you see AI transforming the transport sector in the near future? And maybe if you could give us some specific examples of...
Yeah, so there's a lot to think of. And of course, everybody says the self-driving car, of course, comes to the surface quite rapidly, but that's just a small part of it. I think we will have cars that will be driven with AI much safer and better than we do. I don't know if it will lead to a total big fleet of self-driving cars. I do think that our cars will be self-driving for a bigger part of the drive. So that's one thing that we do. So look at it, but mainly also to make driving cars safer, because especially the problem of people actually being responsible for most of the accidents. That's something that we have to tackle. So we look at these safety systems. That's one thing. The other thing is where you can also use AI for mobility is to organize the mobility. So AI knows much better where people are, where they want to go, also looking into the future. So how to organize your public transport, also your traffic.
No more traffic issues.
Sorry, Dave?
No more traffic issues.
Well, I think we can solve the congestion problem, but then mainly by solving the problem rather than solving the congestion. Because if you can predict where the congestion are, but then also if your car can take over during you driving in the traffic jam, then you don't really experience a problem anymore. So you solve the problem rather than the congestion, because congestion is almost insolvable. That's a pity, but it's true. So that's one thing. And the last thing on logistics, that's also something where we can really look what's happening with AI, because there's a lot of stupid things going on in transportation. And the final thing where we look at is also this really overlap between AI and the electrification of transport, which is also something that's about to happen. But if you have this gigawatt hours of battery capacity driving around on your roads, you can also cleverly use them in order to strengthen the electricity system by smart charging and even decharging cars in order to help the electricity grid, to stabilize electricity grids. That's a big bunch of AI to use this immense amount of synergy.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the challenges that AI is going to solve, is how do we actually create this mass scale electrification grid, so that you can actually power all these new battery operated vehicles.
Yeah, the thing, but the main underestimated thing is that you can also do the other way around, that these battery powered vehicles can also help the electricity grid to stabilize it, actually, because there's in general, when we are I think in a couple of decades, many countries, most countries will have about 2 days of electricity use stored in the batteries of all the cars. That means that you could power a country for 1, 2, 3 hours at least with all the battery cars driving around. So especially in countries that have a little bit destabilized electricity grid, you can actually stabilize that using the power of the cars. You need then vehicle to grid, which is about to happen at this moment. So most cars cannot do that yet, but the new generation of cars could also be used for that. And you can also be starting trading energy with your car. And that's a whole new kind of things, which is powered by the AI. So that's a couple of labs where AI, a couple of fields where AI and mobility have quite a bit of synergy.
Because like we're going to see this this convergence between AI and mobility, and it's going to sort of change everything, the way we move, just like it's changing the way we work. Currently, and you might never, you'll never have to worry about getting somewhere on time again, because it's all scheduled for you and operated.
I think that's still in the future. We will be getting late to work and all this kind of shit. It will still probably happen, because this, as I said, congestion is unsolvable. And there was this big dream a decade ago, and I was a little bit skeptical already back then that the entire mobility would be taken over by self-driving robo-taxis that would bring you from A to B like a horizontal elevator, or these drones that pick you up and bring you somewhere else without any congestion. I'm a little bit skeptical on those kind of solutions, because that's a very dangerous, a difficult solution looking for a problem. You don't really solve something with driverless cars. The main problem of mobility of the future is the space it's using. And if we all drive self-driving cars that also drive from A to B with me and then from B to C without anybody, you have all these empty cars driving around as well. So that not really solves the problem. There will be cheaper taxis because of self-driving cars, but that's not a new kind of mobility. That's not the future of mobility. But to make your travel much more predictable, much more plannable, etc., that's really an enormous benefit that AI will further improve.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at what's happening in other industries with AI, you can now clone yourself, and your clone can actually do the work for you. As an example, so like for me, I've cloned myself, and I've got my clone actually does daily recordings where I don't need to do anything anymore, and I just watch the final product and make sure I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
the same as your car. Your car is going to be able to work for you, or distribute energy from excess supply and help.
Yeah, that's all kind of thing. So all this AI, and I'm gonna talk about more extensively also in the summit. So I'm looking forward to that one. But if you see the general thing, what AI is doing is that it makes us more productive, just as technology always has done. We as humans actually became the crown of evolution, so to say. But because we use tools, we're not such an impressive species on ourselves. But the fact that we can make tools always strengthened us, made us more powerful, made us much more productive, and therefore made us much richer. If you compare actually where we are now compared to 100 years ago, that's for the entire world, and we still have to catch up. But it's immense what we already achieved because we use technology. The thing is with AI that actually all the technology in historical perspective were used to strengthen our arms and legs, to make us more powerful and more strong and stronger. The thing is that this AI strengthens our brains. It's now going to assist our brain to be even smarter, etc. And it might outsmart us at a certain time. That's another discussion that we also will get into probably later on. But the thing is, technology always has made us much more productive, and that always created enormous welfare, etc. So the thing is that this is also with this AI is going to make us much more productive, just as you say, the regular stuff, etc. What you do, that you can leave that to AI, but your intelligence is still needed to ask the right questions. So the intelligence moves to the prompt, but also to the checking afterwards. The work in the middle is much more AI, and that's going to also totally disrupt how our society works and how our economies work, and even what it also asks for leadership in companies. So I will be talking about that also in more detail, because you see sincerely what's happening to the entire society, but also mainly to companies and to leadership and to HR and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's such an important discussion, especially for people that are in senior positions in organizations or big corporates. How do they actually make the right decisions when implementing AI? From a strategic point of view, and also from a financial point of view. And I saw recently at Elon Musk, I don't know if you saw the Tesla shareholder meeting, where he was actually talking about that he's hoping that your Tesla is going to make you money in the future by renting it out for when you're not using the car, almost like an Airbnb in a way.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that, on actually driving economic value with AI?
Let me be honest, I tend to disagree with dear Elon, your fellow countryman, because I agree with a lot that he does, and I'm still impressed by what he's done. But people just buying a Tesla and then when they don't need it, give it out to do some work for you. That doesn't scale up to my point of view, and that also goes. It neglects actually how people look at cars as seeing their extension of their cave, which smells like them, which has to be there when they want to need it, and that's rather unpredictable when they're gonna need it. So when your child has to go to the hospital, all this kind of thing, that's actually why the car is so popular. It's not a machine to bring you from A to B; it's the extension of your cave. It answers to our reptile brains so well. It's the perfect hunter-gatherer machine, and you, even if you don't use it that much, you're not gonna simply give it out to do some work for you. I don't believe that business model so much. I believe many of his other business models. I think the electrification is happening mainly also because of Elon Musk. And so he did a lot, but this robot taxi earning model is not gonna fly, to my humble opinion. Which is nice and exciting, and of course, and inspiring, etc. And it will, to a certain extent, happen. But there's not a big enough market for all these Teslas to go do taxiing in their free time. And most people don't want to have that. So there's a lot of things you only use for a very small moment of times that you don't lend out to other people when you don't use them. Including many parts of your house, or your toothbrush, or your toilet, or all this kind of stuff that you hardly any use, that you rather
your
other people to use. Yeah.
So, and I remember you actually you drive a Tesla, right? Do you still drive a Tesla?
No, I did. I had two Teslas, and I'm still kind of fond of them. But at this moment, I'm driving something different electrically.
Oh wow!
But I was indeed one of the first Tesla drivers.
I remember that.
I'm a big petrol head, you might know. But so I back then I bought a Tesla just to prove them wrong. I said, that's not gonna fly, because all this, all the yes buts had the yes electric vehicles, but, and then people come up with this long list of it's never gonna work. I was one of them, I'm in the mobility, so I said, okay, let's try it, and I also tried to share it, so I made it available for other people, and that's also why I know that that's not going to fly probably. But the thing is that I proved myself wrong rather than other people, so I immediately felt what was going on there. And the main thing about electric vehicles, what people underestimate, is that this one yes but for yes, nice electric vehicles, but they're far too expensive. That's the main wrong thing, because electric vehicles are going to be so much cheaper than gasoline vehicles already within a couple of years, without the subsidies and all the incentives, that they're going to be successful automatically. So without any budget, they're going to be so cheap, and they're going to make driving cars even cheaper. So cheap that you're not really wanting to lend them out for other people, etc. They're too cheap to share in the future.
Wow, so interesting, eh?
Yeah, and that's also for other economies and emerging countries, that actually electrification will be the big success because they're cheaper, and they will make it also for other people that now don't have access to their own car. That will also become truth in the future, because these cars last much longer and they don't cost anything on maintenance and all this kind of stuff. So they will be so much cheaper than other cars that it will be kind of that's the most disruptive thing, I think, about the entire electrification.
Yeah, I think South Africans are going to be happy to hear that, because there's a massive car industry in South Africa. So if you can get it for cheaper,
yeah, that's right. And the other thing what I just said is they can also help to stabilize the electricity grid, which especially in emerging countries is a very, very big plus. And then that's the way to make the money. So you probably make more money by just parking it and linking it to the electricity grid by starting exchanging and trading energy, than to lend it out to do some taxi driving for somebody else that might become sick in your car, and what else can happen, And as I said, I did board it out, and I also shared my car back then, the Tesla, and there was a lot of interest back then because one of the first Teslas. But I stopped sharing it because of these kind of incidents, So the car making money by trading energy is much more interesting than the car making money by doing all kind of taxi drives. And that's
you might have parking lots full of cars, just giving energy.
Exactly. We need more parking lots full of cars with linked electricity grids, and the companies. So we're talking now to these big companies like ASML and etc. They're all like also the even in countries like the Netherlands, the pressure on the electricity grid is so big that we cannot 100% guarantee or 99.999, which we used to be able to do so. We cannot 100% guarantee that there will always be electricity. And these very complex machines of ASML, when during building them or testing phase, electricity, the power is out, then you damage these machines for hundreds of millions maybe. So they have to have some kind of guarantee and backup, etc. And they're now looking at the cars of the employees to use them as a backup system for their own electricity use, to just prevent a power out to harm them. And this is a total different way of thinking, because they always stimulated people to not come with their car, etc. And now suddenly they say, oh, please come with your car in the future because we need their electricity.
Funny.
That's such a disruption. So the electrification is a much bigger disruption than the self-driving aspect of cars, which we always thought would totally change mobility.
Yeah, and I mean, we all move so much. At the moment, we as a physical being, at the moment you're in Netherlands, I'm in Cape Town, but soon you'll be moving to Johannesburg, where we'll be at the summit in October, and I'll also be moving there, and we'll be traveling by air. So I think what are some just to end off? Maybe if you can give us some quick snippets around any of the latest advancements you're seeing in air travel or with drones or by sea, anything that's exciting you in that space.
Yeah, so the thing is with electrification works well on passenger cars. It works quite well on trucks. But passenger cars, you still have made a few percent, classic cars, etc., and maybe police vehicles that you don't want to have a limited range, so they might still want to use some fuels. But that's just a tiny bit in passenger transport. In the trucks, you need the long distance trucks. That's a problem with electrification. Most trucks can be electrified. In the shipping, the inland shipping might become electric, but the big chunk will have problems with batteries. So these big sea vessels an ocean vessel will not be electrified with batteries. And the same goes for flying. So let's take flying as an example. Also in flying, you will have electrification, and that will be planes and maybe 50, maybe in the future 100 passengers, and then 500 kilometers, maybe 1,000, maybe 1,500, but that's about the limit. That, by the way, gives an enormous amount of new smaller airports, you can connect them directly with electrical airplanes. It's by far the most sustainable way of mobility. So that's a nice thing also for Africa to have a new kind of electrification. So they call it regional air mobility. That's a very cheap, very clean way of connecting for the but for the longer distances, which we're going to use because we're going to fly much more in the future. Certainly now when also emerging countries start flying, and rightfully so. That's the big chunk to solve. But for that, we will have these new synthetic fuels. Sometimes they're called sustainable aviation fuels. Some other call them e-fuels for cars or electric fuels. You can call them circular fuels. And it's a kind of fuel that will be produced from electricity. So you can take electricity, make hydrogen, but then immediately also take some CO2 out of the air, combine that, and make some kind of synthetic artificial fuel of that one. When using that in an airplane or in a boat or in a long distance truck, it will produce CO2, but it's exact the same amount of CO2 that you grasp from the air making the fuel. So it's a circular way of using molecules. And a lot of people say that's not going to happen because you need an immense amount of solar panels. And probably maybe South Africa and Namibia, these kind of countries are really well positioned to make cheap electricity. But when the electricity is cheap enough, which it will, then these fuels might, and that's really my belief, they will be cheaper than the fossil fuel that we have to still transfer into some usable fuels. So the refinement of the crude oil will be probably more expensive than making this artificial fuel. And that's really the future of flying, and that will make flying the most sustainable way of transport. Totally contrast to what we're thinking now. And yeah, that's to my point of view really an exciting future. And these kind of fuels will replace the fossil fuels. And we will still have electrification of cars because it's by far the cheapest, etc., as I just said. But there will also be the other part will be replaced by synthetic fuels. And they will just be the better option and the more sustainable option, but also the cheaper and the better option. So it's like a sheikh said that the Stone Age didn't end because of the lack of stones. It ended because we found something better and there were still enough stones. And the fossil fuel will end long before we run out of fossil fuels because we find something better.
Wow, so incredible. That's really exciting. I think it's a great concept of this circular fuel. I've never heard that before. It's definitely a better way to go.
And it's also a way because I bet it's said because of the internet and all this video conferencing. So we meet quite a few times on video, but because I have met you on video, we agreed to see each other also live every now and then, and we became kind of friends, And so a lot of people thought because of the internet, you don't have to travel as much as possible, but we just travel more because you meet all these interesting people that you also want to see live. I like you in 2 dimensions. I like you more in 3 dimensions. So let's continue to do so. We're not going to travel less. Doing things less, this degrowth or the consuming less has never been a solution. It's nice to strive to consume less, but it's never a solution. We have to innovate ourselves out of trouble. That's the only way to go. So that's why these kind of summits and what you're doing there in South Africa is so important. We have to innovate ourselves out of trouble. It's the only way.
Love it. Thank you so much. And we can't wait to see you at the Singularity South Africa Summit in October, where you're going to be flying physically to South Africa and be in 3 dimensions.
I can't wait. Really, I can't wait. And in the same time zone. That's the nice thing about our 2 countries. It's
easy. Yeah, there's none of that jet lag.
None of that.
Sort of acclimation. Yeah. But thanks so much, Carlo, and we can't wait to see you. I hope everyone enjoyed that episode. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you on the next Exponential Africa. Keep smiling. Cheers.